Okay, well, welcome to another episode of the Punk Rock Health Podcast. I'm here today with David from Halo Coffee, which is super exciting. So they've made compostable Nespresso pods, so that is excellent. It was a big problem for me because I love coffee. And when I we originally had like a Dolce Gusto kind of set up.
Oh, yeah.
And it was plastic, and I suddenly went, where's all this going?
Yeah, it's plastic and aluminium as well. So they're not even, they're some of the worst in terms of the waste that comes from them. You know, because the Dolce Gusto, I think my mum used to have one actually as well, which tends to have, it's a metal top. There's usually some filtering in the middle of it. And if you want any of that to go anywhere, you've got to break the whole thing down into its constituent parts, put them into the correct waste streams as well. And people just aren't, it's not for the customer to have to do that. That's the thing. Why would you want to do it?
Absolutely, yeah. That's the thing, like it didn't occur to me. And then I was thinking every day, the pod and the milk pod, where is this going? What's this going to be? And yeah, exactly, you can't put it anywhere. So I switched out to Nespresso because they obviously have their own little recycling service, which was cool. But then I saw what you were doing. It's very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it's that's where we came from. Really, was exactly the same situation that we we started off originally doing a coffee company that did Kopi Luwak coffee using siphon filters. That's where we sort of started originally, the founders. But we'd come across the material for the capsule, and we were thinking, there's got to be a way to do something like this, and that's kind of where the idea grew. And then when you looked around at what was going on within the industry, as to, whether it be the Nespresso, whether it be, the things that are now going on with Aldi and Lidl, so plastic capsules with metal lids, even aluminium ones. Now, the aluminium is all fine and dandy, yes, it is recyclable. The issue is how many people are actually recycling them. There are methods for people to do that, but it's all pushed back onto the consumer. It's not, the business doesn't really want to do it. If they did, they'd come and get it. They would just take them from you every time if it was beneficial to them. And unfortunately, it's not. They don't really want it back. They will take it. At the moment, they can't recycle it back into capsules. It'll have to go into another type of metal or another material. They're looking in the future to make them all recyclable capsules, in terms of to make them capsules again. But it's just not happening. And we found that people like what's going on with the Aldi ones, that they're just getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And as you say, where do they all go? Well, we know where they go. The majority of them end up in landfill. 37,500 a minute go into landfill. And that's a conservative number.
Gosh, wow, that's a huge number.
Yeah, it's unsustainable. That's the thing. It was a brilliant idea. And it still is brilliant. Convenience coffee, it's fantastic for people. We completely get that. But we've moved on from 1986.
Absolutely.
From where it was, this idea, we're not going to worry about the planet. People are now very concerned about what happens to what comes out of the planet. Where does everything go? And what does happen? Well, they just sit there for 500 years.
It's a pressing subject, and like you say, when the industry push it back onto the consumer. And I think, it's an adapt or die situation for businesses as well, because that's foolish. You push it back onto the consumer, we're going to start voting with our money. Much like when the internet came along and everybody said, the high streets are suffering and people are, and they're fighting this inevitable change of people are shopping online. And those that didn't adapt went bump, goodbye. That's what happens. And now this eco thing is like our next shift. It's our next cultural shift. It's our quiet money revolution. Because all we have is our pound. Our vote is our money.
Completely.
Right? So we vote for our businesses with our spending. So the internet came along. We went, this is convenient. This is great. I don't have to be out on a Saturday. I vote with my money. And people try to fight that. And now if they do it with eco stuff, they're going to find the same. Eventually, it will catch.
Well, I think, that's what it seems to me is happening. Is it will be a slow process, although that slow process is starting to pick up fairly rapidly. I mean, you see things, when you have someone like Sir David Attenborough making comments about it, when you have Hugh Fearnley-Whittingstall doing stuff, there is suddenly much more of a groundswell, and that groundswell is aimed at, pretty squarely, at people from 18 upwards.
Yeah.
Because they're the next generation of purchasers. The ones of today, people probably my age, 50 plus, etc., they're the ones who are a bit like, well, we're kind of used to doing this. Not saying that they won't change, because of course they will, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
And it's just an education piece, and gradually people are going to go, do you know what? I can't justify doing what I'm doing, continuing to do what I've been doing.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things we've noticed at a number of events we've done where we've asked people which particular capsule they use. It's the look on the face when they actually tell you the brand or the type that they use. They genuinely feel guilty about it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because they've been put in a position whereby at this present moment in time, these products don't exist. They do now, certainly within the coffee capsule market. Yeah, it absolutely exists. That's why Halo exists. But they haven't had, because the businesses have gone, we don't. It can't be done.
Yeah. Oh, la 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 la.
And, and that's pretty much it. I mean, for us, we looked in. Well, we've been this tiny little company who have gone out of our way over the last 4 years to produce a capsule that functions correctly. You're always going to have challenges. It's a new product. Nothing is perfect right from the get-go. There's always going to be adaptations you need to make to improve, and I'm sure that was the case with Nespresso and every other capsule that's been made. There are adaptations as you go along. But as that happens, it improves, and then people have to start going, what? Well, I can't justify using one made out of metal when one's out of paper or bamboo, which is a completely, circular economy product, exist and work.
Yeah. I find with the eco stuff, you peek behind a curtain and then you can't stop seeing it. And I found with myself, my journey with Punk Rock Health started with the same thing. One day I noticed something caught me, whatever, bottles, how many bottles we go through, or how many this or how many that. And then I saw the next thing, and then I saw the next thing, and then I wondered about cling film, and then I wondered about this. And then suddenly I realised that I couldn't get anything in a style that I liked to replace my cling film or whatever. I was like, I don't really want jute or taupe coloured things.
No.
And that took me on a whole journey, and I think mine is just one, and everybody's kind of got their own version of this. Like friends of mine are like, oh, I just saw what you posted about straws, and they're starting to look for straws to replace, and then suddenly it'll be cotton buds, and then it'll be
it's bit by bit. And I think that's the thing as well. It's not trying to be, all or nothing. You've got to do it bit by bit, and you should expect or hope that the consumer is going, I can't change everything all in one go, but I can change something. And that should be exactly the same with regards to manufacturers of the stuff they produce. Now, I've been going to the packaging, the riveting packaging exhibition that goes on at Birmingham Excel for the last 4 years. I do love it. But the interesting thing about that is that you walk in, it's in a huge space. And each year there is a green section, for products that are coming out that are much more environmentally friendly, compostable, whatever. The problem is it doesn't grow. It shrinks. It seems to get smaller each year.
That's surprising.
And you go and talk to, because we were looking for a very specific product, which is to wrap the boxes in that wasn't going to be made of plastic, it was going to be made of compostable laminates. Now, as far as we could gather, there was one company that actually did it. The other ones you go and speak to, are you going to be doing a compostable laminate? Oh, yeah, we're looking into that. We'll probably do it next year. And you're just going, but you said that last year. And it's this battle that they have between making the shift to make the change to do the right thing and just continuing the status quo. Well, it's cheaper to do it this way. Everyone wants this. It's all about making products cheaper.
Yeah.
And that at some point has to stop. And I think, as you say, consumers will vote with their feet. They'll vote with their wallets, and they will say, no, enough. We're not going to buy that. And today is a prime example. You see what Waitrose have done today.
What did they do?
Well, so what they've done is they've basically we're going back to the 70s basically, whereby you can take a tub, go into their supermarket, and you can then refill your tub. Yeah. Rather than taking a box of it. Yeah. And that's exactly what it used to be like that. So funny. Recycling glass bottles, all of that. Back in the day, old brand was Corona, fizzy lemonades and that kind of thing. Yeah. And it was always it'd either have no deposit, no return on the bottle, or it was a depositable bottle. So when you took it, you get left 5p behind, and you got that back when you took the bottle back. Yeah. Now we suddenly went, oh, this is a ridiculous idea. Let's make them all out of plastic. Yeah. Now rubbish. They're going back and going, actually, why don't we just recycle? Take stuff back.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been a big sort of sway in the last 50 years towards single-use convenience
Yeah.
stuff, and we're seeing the price we're paying for it, and it costs more than the cheapness of the item. You know, it's costing us in our waters and in our air and in our soil and in our food. Yeah, and I love seafood. I'm like, save the ocean, because I want to eat it. It's so bad, but that's, you know, I love it, and I would be heartbroken if, you know, because the diversity and everything that's there is important, but we're part of that, and we should be able to be part of that sustainably, sensibly,
and that's the
you
point.
know.
It's, I mean, I think the problem is it's just been about buy more of everything. And unfortunately, I was never a green zealot, you know, and still not. But I do firmly believe that you've got to say, do I actually need to buy 10 packs of that because it's, you know, I can get it £6 cheaper, or do I just go, actually, I don't need it?
Absolutely.
You know, the whole bog off stuff, buy one get one free. You know, you don't need to buy that second pack, but you're going, oh well, it's 30p cheaper, so I'll buy it anyway. It's just more packaging. I'm saving for the future.
I'm saving from future me who buys it again, and it's like, well, maybe you won't though. Maybe you don't need the second pack, and maybe you're not going to buy it. And
unfortunately, people
come on.
You know, naturally lazy. Unfortunately, so you can put out as many boxes for people to put their wrappers in, and the business say this is 100% recyclable. Just put it into this. Well, most people won't, unfortunately, because time. If the box is wrong, if the waste stream or the council you have don't have a specific waste stream for what you require.
Yeah.
And that's another part of the problem. You know, you have compostable capsules that are industrially compostable. You have plastic ones, you've got metal, you now have home compostable. If you looked at a industrially compostable capsule and put it next to a plastic capsule, most people cannot tell the difference.
Wow.
And if you can't tell the difference, then the guy who's in the recycling plant can't tell the difference.
No, it's tricky.
If he's unsure,
it goes in the bin.
It's going to go in the
safety
bin.
way in the bin.
Because otherwise it just affects the whole waste stream.
Yeah, and I was reading the other day about how much of our plastic actually does get recycled. About 9% of what we put into recycling gets recycled. And you think, well, this isn't a solution. The recycling bin is still a bin. You know, it's still a bin. It's probably not going anywhere good. Especially because a lot of our recycling efforts, you know, if you stick a wrong thing in, it messes up the whole batch and so on.
Yeah, the whole lot will just go to landfill.
I've got a guest coming on next episode to talk about recycling, exactly how it works. So I'm going to be well versed in it as of next week, because I'm finding out some shocking stuff about, you know, really you got to start looking at it a bit like it's probably another bin. It's probably going to landfill.
Well, a lot of it has just been recently, and again, I don't know if you saw that in the press. Most of it is getting bundled up and was being sent to China,
or Malaysia. Yeah.
Now they're all going, hang on a minute, we actually don't want this anymore. So what's going to happen to it?
Yeah.
It's just going to end up in a landfill somewhere. Because there isn't, again, this is all down to what we as a race, or not as a race, so as a set of beings should be doing, which is we should be making some way of making this financially viable, so that the recycling of it is more beneficial than throwing it away.
It has value, yeah.
You know, and there are companies out there who do look at recycling, but then what we found was we were trying to do some work with one of them, and they said, well, yes, we'll take it off your hands for this much money. And you're like, well, wouldn't it be better if we just worked together and said, we will give the stuff to you, you will then recycle and do whatever and then we kind of we'll give it to you for free, you don't have to buy it, then you make your profit off it.
Yeah.
Not buy it off us, or, you know, we pay you to take it away. I understand there's a business model there, but there has to be a better way of thinking around it.
Yeah, I think we're kind of set up for failure in a lot of ways with how we feel about money making and profit and so on. I was listening to Russell Brand talk on another podcast recently, and he was talking about how the capitalism is kind of set up, it makes us upset and miserable, and we can't see another system, but there must be another system. There must be another way where, you know, profit isn't key and price isn't key, but it's like our whole system is set up to keep us in this funnel, you know. But it's quite a lot of, well, it would be a big shift to move away from it. It's like a whole world set up,
whole mindset shift of most systems of government.
But I think our little eco market is, you know, right at the front of that revolution in a way.
You know, these are things that's one of the companies we work with who help use the materials for the box, which is a company called Delipack, actually. Now, they've done what we've done. They've taken on board, they decided 7, 8, possibly 10 years ago to go, we are going to make the investment to make the change. We're probably not going to make a great deal or any money for a period of 4, 5, 6 years because the market isn't ready for it. But we're going to put ourselves in a position whereby when the change happens, and it's a massive risk, you are sort of going, I'm hedging my bets on the future that may never change. But they said, no, we're going to create a board that is home compostable. It has a barrier barrier to it. It is something you can use for all kinds of food products. We'll hopefully be able to use it for cups, and that's the biggest, coffee cups. Plastic insides of coffee cups. I mean, one of the worst polluters.
Breaks my heart, that.
And companies like Costa and, Nero, so all the main coffee companies, they're all trying to do the right thing. Bring your cup in, this, that, and that.
Keep cups.
And then they're saying, well, if we'll try and get them recycled, but you can't, because once they've got coffee in them, they can't recycle them because they're dirty.
Soiled, yeah, absolutely.
And that again is down to the system as well. So there's these whole chains of problem that creates a problem here because they don't really do much about it as a company. And then the next one down hasn't realised or hasn't worked out how to change that system, because that means changing the whole of the recycling system. And it's just a lot of time and effort and money. And people are, well, it doesn't really, can we do it at this moment? I'm not saying people aren't trying, I'm sure that is going on, but it doesn't seem to be at the forefront of
No, it's going to be too little too late, isn't it? It'll be when people can really see the trash spilling across the streets, they start going, oh, what's all this doing here? Do you know what I mean? Because at the moment it's outside, out of mind, and they go, we'll get round to it, or can we change it at some point? You don't see it. Yeah, it's somebody else's problem. No, it's all of our problems. I think Google in their offices have starch-based cups, coffee disposable cups that break down.
I'm sure they will. The issue with the cups are... It's not what the outside's made of, it's what's on the inside.
Yeah.
So it's how do you keep it waterproof?
It's that little plastic layer on the inside.
And that's the problem is, the actual outside, it might be a recyclable cup, or it could even be a compostable cup, but if on the inside it has PET to keep it waterproof...
Yeah, that's it.
That means you've then contaminated that particular material on the outside because you can't separate them. And that's the problem. So the sort of holy grail is to find a material that has a waterproof barrier that is compostable, but the barrier is also compostable as well. So, these are the things that people like the company we've been talking about, that's what they've gone ahead 10 years ahead of everyone else to try and do this. And I think what's going to happen is, this is what we feel and hope will happen with Halo, is that there will be a fundamental shift. It will either be plastics that get banned. Now, there's a whole other argument with that, which is the petrochemical companies. So they're all kind of interconnected, because obviously the plastics come from petrochemicals. Now that's waste petrochemicals. So they're massive power brokers, the petrochemical companies. So are they going to say, how will they be if a government bans single-use plastic? What happens to all of that excess that they're currently making a lot of money out of? So that's the battle you have. It's big business, it's government, and then the other businesses that make materials cheaply out of what they're buying from there.
And I think our best bet as people is that we are the bottom of the pyramid, but if we take the bottom of the pyramid shifts, they have to respond, so even though it's the responsibility is kind of on the consumers by the businesses, and that's a bad thing, it's almost like they're giving us enough rope to hang them, because if we all shift, that's the bottom of the pyramid out, they're going to have to
power of the
respond.
consumer is immense. I mean, it is literally down to the consumer. If somebody just said, we as a group, we've made a decision, it was just a collective thought process one morning when we're never buying a plastic capsule again. All of those plastic capsule companies would have to make a change.
They'd have to stop.
Because
There'd
their
be no business
model
for them.
would just cease.
Yeah, I say this about battery chickens. If we just said no, or even cage 10 eggs, if we just all said no.
Yeah, it would stop.
And the price would balance out, I think, because, people would start competing for that market. And, because everyone says, it's more expensive, and that's the problem. It's like, well, it's more expensive because we allow it to continue and they're fighting for the cheapest. But if we all kind of shift, the market will change and react with it, and things will get cheaper because more people are doing them and stuff like that.
It is an idealistic thought.
Yeah. Well, that's the territory we're in across the board with this kind of stuff. Is a lot of wouldn't it be nice if, and isn't it ideal when?
Stop making the changes. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You don't just go, oh well, it's idealistic. I won't do anything.
I won't do it. I'm just going to have my Starbucks and this Cage 10 egg. Like you just don't, do you?
As long as there are people who make it. There is. I mean, the thing is that there is the market out there. There's enough people in the world who have the same mindset. It says, actually, no, I'm going to make that change. So for you as a company, if you're making those changes, you're saying, we recommend you do this. We understand it might be a little bit more expensive, but the benefits of this is you're getting a higher quality cup of coffee, or if that's what it happens to be, a higher quality product in much better packaging that is much better for the planet, which is going to be much better for your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren. And that's what we have to think about is the future.
Yeah.
And if you're that mindset, then make the change. A lot of people are going, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't.
We have the power. We have the power. And I can understand people making decisions on price and like people's wallets are what they are. Your budget is your budget. And you can't always do everything.
Well, that again is the other thing is that, from our point of view, we understand, we know we're more expensive. We are deliberately more expensive. We do everything fundamentally differently to most other, if not all other coffee capsule companies. We do understand that some of our pricing may well be out of the reach or deemed, insanely expensive for a single capsule cup of coffee. Fair enough, and we do get that. But again, you have to make a decision and say that's what we stand for.
Yeah,
this
is
why
who you are.
This
that's
is why
your
we're
business,
doing it. We've decided not to say, actually, we're going to make it as cheap as human, because there is an area whereby you have to make a choice. You either go super cheap and you damage the planet, or you do something different and is a bit more expensive to do something good. I don't know if there's a middle ground for that.
Yeah,
there probably is, but I guess that is
that comes over
volume.
time, doesn't it? That's a volume. Yeah, exactly. As everybody shifts, it kind of. This is what I'm saying about hens and eggs. If everybody shifts, it suddenly makes things more viable for everybody to kind of bring the price down. The market gets a bit more competitive. There's more people doing it, and that makes things cheaper in some respects.
Well, from our point of view, it would mean that if there were other companies that did, compostable laminates, that means that's when the market starts to do what a capitalist market does, which is who is the cheaper one, but they're doing the right thing, but they still are able to reduce their prices in order to gain the business. Yeah. Well, that's great because there are more people buying it, which means they can reduce their, and it's all relative, but it doesn't have to be cheap just because it's we'll just dig this out of the ground and we can make it cheap. It's fine, or even just because of the size of them. I mean, someone like Nespresso are gargantuan. Yeah, and you kind of
global.
Go, why haven't you done something? Because we don't have to. Because recyclable's best. Is it?
No, not quite.
You're still digging stuff out of the ground.
And I think also, like we were touched on earlier, people buy more is more. Bog offs and buy more and consume more and so on. There is something to be said for having something that's special and having a little bit of it. My grandmother used to say a little bit what you fancy does you good. Absolutely. Right? I'm full of the wise women of my family's phrases, honestly. But yeah, a little bit of what you fancy does you good. Now, when you think about the cost of a coffee pod, and one of your coffee pods, it's a bit more expensive. But I'm thinking, I'm having one in the morning, maybe two, to get going. And then I'll probably switch to I'll have a cup of loose leaf tea or whatever later on. So I'm having one or two. So I might as well have the coffee that I enjoy in the thing that I don't have to feel guilty about, and just take the hit on the cost. I'll have one and enjoy it rather than having five. In the day, just pump all day long. It's this is expensive. I'll savour it. Yeah. Actually, it feels good. It feels nice.
Speaking my language. I mean, that's exactly how I feel about what we're doing as a brand. It is sort of the anathema to what running a business is about. Is you're supposed to try and sell as much of it as humanly possible in order to make profit, to grow the business. And yes, of course, that's what we want to do. We do want to grow the business so it becomes a profitable business, so that the people we're buying coffee from, those farmers, that they're making a benefit out of it.
They have
because there is a supply chain. It's not just this end part. There's the bit at the front as well. So whoever's making, where the paper is coming from, someone, and I believe it's in Malaysia, they're making paper there. So farmers are creating all of this stuff goes together. But I'm like you. I think, rather than buying 5 boxes of something because they cost 16 pence each, which you will happily, put one in a machine, you might start sipping it, and then you get a bit distracted.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I wasted that, and you chuck it away because
Absolutely.
it's 16p.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, and it's this, it's this, just constantly buying things because it's cheap. I agree with you. Buy stuff because 1, it's a luxury. 2, because you're going to really enjoy it and you'll really appreciate it. And that's the difference, I think.
Yeah, and if we're kind of consuming less, we're making less waste and we're using less electricity, and it's better all around. We don't need 5. We'll have 1 and enjoy it.
Yeah. Cut down on the conspicuous consumption. That's what we have to do as a species.
Yeah.
Because we cannot continue. At the moment it doesn't. It is out of sight, out of mind. I mean, when you look at the huge floating pile of plastic in the middle of the Pacific,
in the sea,
on completely barren islands in the middle of the Pacific that are coated in plastic. Not a single person lives there, but it's coated in plastic. And you think, how is this a benefit?
And then you put pictures up online, everyone's like, oh my gosh, wow. Where do you think it was going?
Yeah, well,
come on, let's look behind the curtain. Let's see it. Let's see it with our eyes and make decisions on the truth of the situation.
This is part of the problem, is that unfortunately, I think people, again, a little bit of fault of their own, but things like capsules, and obviously I'm going to have to keep
of course,
referring back to
frame
capsules.
of reference, yeah.
But most people will probably go, I'll just have 1. Oh, it's just 1.
Yeah.
And they throw it in the bin.
Yeah.
Because why? Oh, because it's easy. 2, because they probably haven't got the bag that they're supposed to have to fill up before they take back by hand to the company for them to take it away. If it's a plastic one, oh, well, I'm supposed to take the lid off and I'm supposed to wash it out, and then I'm supposed to put that into this, and then the silver lid into this. Am I going to do that? I just won't do it with this one.
This is what I like about your pods, is that it's like drilling down on waste at the top end. It's like it's compostable, there's not waste, and that's, I think, what we need to do across the board, is trying to, just cut out the waste part as much as possible, in general.
It should be down to the company who is producing the product to make the consumer's life easier in terms of the waste. Now, that's what we've been doing. That's what we've been making your life easier, because it's a single-use plastic bottle. This, it just makes it easy, it's convenient, etc., etc. But we need to move on from it just being what it was to what it needs to be next, which is, we have the technology to make these products out of different materials that either are compostable, so we need to start looking at that and making those changes, so that you as a consumer, when you buy a box and you do have to throw it into the bin, you can do that guilt-free. Next
generation convenience. Like the next generation of what convenience needs to be and what that needs to mean. And you're right, I think the companies should start
It's
doing that.
Down to the companies, because we're asking you to buy our product. So if we're saying, will you buy my product, why am I not making it easy for you to make sure that the thing I've created, you can easily dispose of without causing a problem?
Responsibly get rid of it.
I don't see how it can't be on the company to at least do as much as they physically can to do that for the consumer.
Absolutely.
It is onto the consumer as well. They have to do their bit.
Yeah, it's a bargain. It's a deal,
Completely.
Yeah, you should do it together, and it's all of our planet, isn't it? It's for everyone. Just because you're so and so sitting at the top of Nespresso, it's as much your planet as it is mine, as it is your next customer, as it is your customer. We all have an ownership, so we should all have a vested interest and a responsibility. And I think
it just seems crazy to me that there's this idea that once you've created something, I wash my hands of responsibility.
Absolutely, and they do it for money often. And then you think, well, what world is that money going to have value if everything's ruined? Like, what are your kids going to do with this money if the sky's on fire? What I mean? It's the apocalypse.
Exactly true.
What value is it?
An example is places like the Maldives. Now, in the Maldives is all about luxury resorts. That is it. It is luxury resorts. They have 0, they're 2 meters above sea level. Pretty much every single atoll is 2 meters above sea level. There's one island that is technically where they do their landfill and they burn the rubbish. So you're saying to a place like the Maldives, you're going, Yeah, you buy in a lot of single-use capsules, which they do because it's luxury, and people like our
Every
special
hotel
metal
room's
one.
got a little
they've all
machine
got a
in
little
it.
machine
Yeah,
in
you're
it,
not.
and
Yeah.
they have 8 in there, and they get used. So where do they go? Do they get collected? No, probably not. They end up on that landfill site, and something like the Maldives cannot sustain that. So what do? We go, oh well, it's fine. I mean, once the Maldives are underwater, it was nice while it lasted.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what are the Maldives doing as a government to make that change?
To make, for themselves as well. So, it's
and why is it
them.
that companies, the big companies who are selling stuff in there, are just kind of going, oh, it's fine, we'll make hay while the sun shines, and then once the sun actually goes down over there, we'll just move on from there and we'll go to the Pacific rather than the Indian Ocean. Yeah. I mean, they're already in the Pacific as well, but
gosh,
it baffles me, and the change has to happen, and has to happen soon. And it is about talking to, and this is something I'm actively doing at the moment, is to talk to the environmental ministers of different island nations and different areas within Pacific, Indian Ocean, where these machines are prevalent, but in environments that are very delicate.
Yeah.
And it's not everything, but it's a start.
Absolutely. You do what you can. And I think that's kind of the message across the board with, what we're doing over here at Punk Rock Health is trying to help everybody just do a little bit of what they can, because every little bit counts. We should stop feeling this kind of apathy of like, it's all ruined, it's all burning, it's all done, forget it, enjoy your McDonald's and die, No, if we all turn it around, I mean, the hole in the ozone layer was a prime example. I mean, there you go.
Yeah.
It got into public consciousness. Everybody made a shift, and here we are.
Yeah. CFCs were taken out of aerosols because they didn't need them.
Yeah.
They were there originally because, that's what we use. And then they went, well, actually, you don't need to use CFCs. You can just use a different type of propellant, which then doesn't damage the ozone layer. And the ozone layer is still not fixed, but it's certainly a lot healthier than it was.
Much healthier, yeah. And if you need an example of what change can do, we've done it in, life in some of our lifetimes. Some of us have seen that change.
We're a pretty adaptable species.
Absolutely.
And there's no reason why we can't make it's this idea that it's too late. We can't do anything about it.
It's like a cop out, isn't it?
It's just laziness.
A cop out. This is why you got to get your punk rock attitude on, and be like, no, I'm not. Yeah. I'm not rolling over.
Just make the change. And as I say, it doesn't have to be everything. It's a little bit, and often.
Yeah, I mean, like when I go shopping, sometimes to the supermarket, especially when you're caught on the fly. So, all right, I'm already in plastic world as I'm in the supermarket. But then I try and pick my fruit and vegetables, like what's loose. So I try and work out what I'm going to cook about what's loose, So I'm like, they haven't got any loose mushrooms today. Oh, okay, I'll do something else. But, I know that when I get down to like, I don't know, fresh pasta or whatever or something, I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to accept some plastic.
Yeah.
Because I can't get loose and I'm caught on the fly or whatever. But I do what I can. That's what I can do on that day in the supermarket. And it's not my everyday, and it's not my best self. It's not my best case scenario, but it's, as long as you kind of go, okay, this is what I can do from my position. But good.
You're being dictated to as to what you can do, though.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's nobody
it's not through your choice. It's because, and this is, a lot of these are based on EU directives around fresh food and what needs to be covered and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Which is then based around price, so about supermarkets trying to undercut each other. So they then go, well, I have to use this particular material, and I'll put it in some polystyrene, and then I'll put it in some cling film as well. And even worse when it's things like bananas or, God forbid, coconuts.
Yeah.
I mean, things that are, I don't know, it's got its own wrapping, but let's wrap it anyway.
Let's just wrap it for good measure.
And you just think, and you as a purchaser, we as consumers are walking and going, we accept this, okay, I'll take it because I've been told it keeps it fresh. What we should actually do, and I think this did happen somewhere, we should be able to go into the supermarket, and we go in, we take it, we just open it, take the barcode, put that into your own little bag, and go, and leave the rubbish behind.
Yeah. I mean, they had it for a period of time where you could self-scan, right? So you could get a self-scanner, and then I think they trialled it in like some of the big...
You do it in Tesco's.
Yeah, right. So they're still doing it. They're still doing it in some places. So really what we're saying is, you know, they could put the barcodes out, they could scan them, and we don't need it all packaged, you know.
Heaven forfend that they go back to what it used to be like, which was, it was all loose, and you went to the scale and you weighed it,
Oh my
and
God,
then there was
and
a little
then
thing that came up and you put it on there. Now, okay,
pay
it
for
still
that.
had to go into a polystyrene, well, it didn't at the time, it went into a paper bag.
Yeah.
But paper bags are too expensive.
Ridiculous.
And the other thing that
Ridiculous.
was a fantastic, I mean, there's lots of stuff that you see on, you know, social media of different things that people have done. And one guy went into whichever one of our, you know, supermarkets and decided he wanted a donut, loose donut. So he walked in, got the tongs, picked up a donut, put it into a plastic bag, paid for it, walked out, took out the donut, ate it. So for the 15, 20 seconds or however long it was that plastic bag was used, you go, why?
Yeah.
That's another piece of its single-use plastic that's been used for a nominal amount of time that's now going to sit in landfill for 500 years. What is the logic of that?
Yeah, it makes no sense. I mean, when you start looking at it, you're like, this is actually insanity, isn't it? This is just like a lot
But
of
we're
insanity.
programmed to do
Yeah,
it
well,
as if there's nothing wrong.
Especially like some of the younger not the younger generations, I guess, some like my generation or whatever and downwards, probably it's all they've known. Like, I think my mum's generation would remember, like, you know, I mean, I sort of remember her making loose leaf tea when I was very small.
Yep.
And then talking to my grandmother and being like, just use bags, it's easier. You know, so that's it's sort of in my lifetime that shift has occurred.
Yeah, back in the day, I mean, that's what it used to be when I was a kid. You'd have loose leaf PG tips.
Yeah.
And you'd always have a tea strainer. You know, it would go in a teapot, then you'd have a tea strainer, you'd pour it out that way. Then there was this gradual shift onto bags, and that was cool. You know, tea bags.
And then the little drawstring doobries.
Yeah, and then the triangular ones, and all these different versions. But what I didn't realise this until, you know, probably 6 months ago, that those bags have plastic in them.
Yeah, full of plastic, yeah.
You just go,
yeah.
Do they?
Why? Yeah, they do. Yeah, they totally do. I think all of us were a bit like, what? And even like the high-end tea brands have plastic in their bags, heat resist. Even like the cords have to be like heat resistant on the drawstring bags and so on. You're just like, this is madness. Absolute madness.
And we buy into it daily.
I mean, funny, right? But teapots are cool, right? like, don't you just love having a pot of tea? It's like
the teapot making a comeback's a brilliant
yeah,
idea.
it's very cool. I saw a designer called Charlotte Webb, was she? She did some wonderful teapots with like rabbits shapes and like skulls on, and like, you know, she just made it awesome.
You've got to think about it and go, all right, the teapot was pretty prevalent probably from the, you know, mid 18th century onwards, may even been before then, and it was pretty successful. You know, people made tea pretty successfully out of it, always made a good cup. You know, nobody complained about it, and then all of a sudden, oh no, let's consign the teapot away and we'll just use bags. I know people do still use teapots, but you kind of go, why did that ever change?
What happened?
Was it just convenience because I wanted
advertising, cultural shit? Yeah, they drive us, don't they, with their kind of
businesses doing a great job of marketing.
Absolutely.
And it is marketing.
Yeah.
You know, and they're brilliant at it.
We don't have to accept it. You know, we don't have to accept it. Teapots exist. It's not like we've got to invent the teapot now because we don't want plastic tea bags.
Loose leaf tea is still purchasable.
It's not like you guys, you know, pressing to have compostable, but you're inventing something new. Like, we have teapots. They exist.
Always been there.
You could just have a teapot. There's plenty of them. You know,
I mean, the marketing.
Go to a charity shop, get one for like 50p.
Yeah, marketing firms are brilliant. I mean, they are. I mean, what Nespresso did was absolutely, you know, it was an amazing job. Really was. I mean, they would have been around 30 years. I think the story is that they didn't really make a penny or didn't sell any for about 6 years whilst they were adapting and creating the capsule itself. But then you look at what they did with their marketing. It's been absolutely amazing. I mean, George Clooney, what's they paying? £46 million a year.
Yikes!
To market, but
he's very handsome though.
What a job he's done.
Yeah.
You know, as a brand ambassador, you go, well done.
Yeah.
You know, and it's been an amazing job. So you cannot fault them for what they created,
they've done it right.
what they've produced, what they originally produced, how they've marketed it to the public to say, this is the way that you should have coffee. It's kind of cool people drink it, etc.
George Clooney's in a nice suit, drinking it, aspirational.
As a product, it's brilliant. As an item, the single-use capsule is brilliant for people because it is about convenience.
Yeah.
Not having to go for either grinding your own loose coffee, putting it into a thing, putting hot water on it. All of that rigmarole for one cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And also, you know, getting away from just instant. So you want a quality coffee that's not instant coffee. So an amazing product.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean you shouldn't adapt it and make a change.
Yeah, let's keep being innovators, keep pushing for change. So let's talk about the coffee itself.
Right.
What's in every pot?
Well, currently, so we at the moment are we've just launched our 5th coffee, which is an Indian Robusta. So that's just a Robusta coffee. So it's got a more caffeine. It's got a stronger caffeine content.
Kick.
Yeah, indeed it has. The other ones we have our original 3 Mountain blend, which is a Kenyan Colombian, and Nepal Everest, which is quite a light drink. Most of our coffees up to now have been very light. In terms of what we've done is we've made the decision to make it less about a bitterness and more about the flavour that you're going to get from high-end 80 plus scoring coffees.
Yeah.
So that's what we've really aimed to do as a start point, because again we're trying to make a fundamental change from being what everyone else does to what we do. Now we are always going to listen to what our customers would like.
Of course.
So if they say we want something strong, so we're looking at doing a ristretto very, very soon as well. So we've got, as I say, the 3 Mountain blend, we have the doTERRA, and we also have a Pacamara at the moment, and obviously a decaf as well. So obviously people do like a decaf.
Of course.
And we have to say that for a decaf, it's absolutely fantastic. Most people probably wouldn't recognise it was a decaf unless you told them. Yeah.
Oh,
the finish on it gives it away, because it does sort of, you'll get this beautiful flavour and it sort of just stops, a bit like decafs tend to do. But yeah, I mean, the coffees we do, they're all, as I say, I'm trying to think of the phrase, it's completely thrown me, the actual specialty grade coffees.
Yeah.
So we don't do anything below 80.
Right.
80 score, so that's a specialty grade of coffee. So that's what our strapline is. It's the world's best coffees in a way that's best for the world.
That's wonderful.
And that's what we're aiming to do. But it's, we're still relatively new. We're always going to listen. We're not going to have 50, 35, 40 different coffee types on books, because it's just too confusing.
It's too much.
And I know Nespresso do that, and I know that people, but I would probably bet that most people probably go, I buy about 3 of those.
Yeah. You look at like what's most popular. You rank by popularity and just go up there and go, well, if everybody likes that, I'll try that, and then you sort of stick to what you know. I think you can get lost, can't you? If somebody has like loads and loads and loads and loads and loads, and you start thinking, well, do I want this and is that?
Too much. It's like going to a restaurant where they have a ridiculously large menu. You're just looking at it going, it's too much choice. Yeah,
if you stick 5 fish courses on a menu, I'm there for an hour. I don't know what I'm doing.
Do I want that? It's like, give me 2 of that, 2 of that, 2 of that. And I go, well, I can pick those. Nice and easy.
Yeah, like keep it simple. Keep a sensible amount of choice.
But our aim is to, one, we want to have a much closer relationship with the farmers.
Of course.
So if we can try and avoid going through the green bean buyers and maybe go direct.
Yeah.
Because that way we can actually have that conversation. We can probably pay a little more to the farmers, because that's what it's about. It's about, most of the, high quality coffees, if you want specialty grade coffees, they come from relatively small farms, a lot of them. And we'd like to have that conversation with them, but also look at it and say, okay, once, quarterly, we're going to pick a specific coffee that may fit in with, let's say it's, Valentine's Day or an event, or it could just literally be a quarterly coffee that we go, we're going to buy this much of it, we'll buy all of yours, we'll be able to do 4,000 boxes, and that's it.
Yeah.
So it'll just be sort of very quick hits of very specialty grade coffees that only a certain number of people can have, but that way you're constantly changing up, doing different types of product, not just we'll have a
core range.
We'll have a core range,
of course, yeah.
But then just bring in different ones.
Every quarter, something exciting.
And the other part of that we'd like to do is we're looking at bringing out a Galapagos fairly soon, and we're looking at ways in which what we can do is aim to give back a percentage of the cost to one of the Galapagos charities. So probably for the turtles.
Fantastic.
Because the actual branding on the box is of a turtle, and it's things like that. It's not just about doing the right thing for the planet in terms of waste. It's the other side of it as well.
You've got the holistic picture. Yeah, absolutely.
So what the aim of the brand in real terms, and it shouldn't. I don't want it just to be about coffee. As a founder, what I wanted to do is say, okay, we start with this, but what could be next? What other areas can we make the changes in order to do something similar? And so that when people, can come to your kitchen, they'll go, oh, what do you have? You've got tea, coffee, Halo. And or they go, if they see it's a Halo branded product, they know that the supply chain, the manufacturing, the packaging, everything has been done as best as we can to make it sustainable and good for the planet.
I'm big into guilt-free stuff. I'm big into knowing that like the whole thing's taken care of. We stock a deodorant that's a bit like that they've kind of looked at the packaging and they've looked at what's in it and how it goes on the skin, and like, you know, they've made their shipping carbon neutral. And I'm like, oh, brilliant. I don't have to think about any of it or feel funny about any bit of it. It's just guilt-free. When I saw you guys come up, you know, when I was looking, and I was like, oh, wow. So not only does it compost, and that's great, it looks like the supply chain is good and it's healthy, and there's not somebody getting advantage, you know, being taken advantage of at the other end. Oh, and the flavors are great, you know, really lovely coffee. You think, oh, brilliant. Oh, relax then, I can just have it.
Yeah, do it without the guilt. I mean, I know a lot of people don't think about it, and we've done as much as we can within our supply chain. Now, there's still parts that we want to improve on,
of course,
because there's always
room for improvement.
There's always room for improvement. But you know, the aim is to say, okay, we've looked at that and we've cut it down as much as we possibly can. We've looked at that. We've tried to do this, and now part of that there are costs associated with making those changes, and you know that unfortunately has to be passed on somewhere, or
absolutely factored
or whatever. But it's making those changes, and I agree. You just have to be able to look at it and go, well, at least they've done something. At least they've thought about it on my behalf as a consumer. Now, okay, I may have to drive to Tesco's to pick it up, so I feel a bit guilty about that. But it's not my fault they've put it where they put it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, we're chipping away at the mountain here. You know, every little bit chips away. Every little bit's a good decision. But I love it when you get a product that you can just go, oh, good. It's quite rare.
I think the most frustrating thing, but it's a plus point in some respects, is the fact that it takes small individuals or small groups of individuals who have to fight tooth and nail to get someone to believe in their product, to believe that the market will sustain what you're looking to do, to make those changes. Now, I know what this product can become, but you've got to convince somebody who actually has the money to sit behind you to say, I believe in that too, and I'm willing to wait 5 years, and we're going to have to spend this much money, because what you're up against is behemoths of things like Nespresso, Nestle,
huge brands,
who, as I say, if they're paying George Clooney 40+ million a year just to him, that doesn't not even bring into
imagine
the photographs,
whole
the video,
budget.
all of that.
Yeah, imagine the whole mountain.
And you're trying to say, we're saying just 1%. 1% of your market, of the Nespresso or of the coffee capsule market, is a big chunk of the market, and enough to start seeing some change. And that's where you're at. You're trying to make those changes, but against a huge headwind of people who would want to stop you, and two, who just don't want to do it. Yeah. And why don't you want to do it?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I was just as an example of that, is that you look at, two of the biggest companies, so you've got Nespresso. So they've now done a sort of little side deal with Starbucks.
Right.
So they produce Starbucks capsules.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah. Starbucks branded kind of.
So
there's the Starbucks versions of coffee.
Two of the biggest coffee companies in the world.
Holding hands.
Who are holding hands and going, recycling's best.
Oh, yeah, is it now? Good.
You just go, come on, Starbucks. You had an opportunity. You did do a pretty dreadful capsule because you did plastic with metal on the top and metal on the bottom. You had an opportunity.
Yeah.
And you didn't take it.
To push, to make the change, to be the change, yeah.
And I don't get that.
Too big to care.
I get it, because it's probably just a financial thing, and it looks good, they're going hand in hand, and maybe they're going, well, it's the quality of a capsule and blah, blah, blah. But you just had an opportunity to be a massive company to say, oh, actually, this is what we should be doing.
Yeah. Exactly. And I guess with companies like that, they have this added pressure of like so many people have to sign off on it. It has to get through so many hoops before someone can agree it. You got one super eco person or 10 super eco people in that company.
Yeah.
It might never make it through. It just takes one person slightly higher up to go, no, not going to bother.
Got to get past the bean counters.
One person who's a climate change denier.
Sat
high up.
Matters not a bit. No.
Yeah.
And it'll be money.
What are you worried about?
It will be money.
Yeah.
It'll all be about money.
Always, yeah.
Which, again, you understand it, because there is an economical side to this sort of thing, and it is about, what is their model? What are they? What are their projections? What are they doing for their share? And it is, you've got all the pressure of the shareholders as well. So you do get it, you understand it, but you kind of go, are you looking at it as well in the background? Will you do something about it, or are you just kind of going, no, can't.
Just money.
Can't see it.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's fine. It's fine.
I just think this constant growth thing that like most businesses try to achieve is also nuts. It's like constant growth into what? Into where, how, from what. I mean, our resources are finite, most of them on the planet. Our space is finite.
Yeah.
Constant growth will mean collapse. So why are we all so excited about constant growth? It just seems like, it's like, we're getting closer to the fire. One day we'll step into it. That's what it sounds like to me. It's like sustainability, great. Pick your kind of, stay in your lane, work out what you want to do. Sustain, everybody feels good. Maybe
I suppose it's this idea of saying, how much money is too much. For a company like these big companies, they're constantly looking to grow, and you say, well, as you say, what are you growing into? So the growth is about producing enough money to put into so the shareholders are getting, their investments are being paid back and they're receiving something. Where do you go? Yeah, because without them, the companies don't exist in the first place. So it is this circular thing there. But maybe, again, this is idealistic and saying, well, perhaps we say once it's a £3 billion company, perhaps that's enough.
Yeah.
And we just say that's where we stay.
It's a cap. There you go. Yeah.
But that's never going to happen.
No, people are greedy. Wow. I guess people are greedy.
Well, we all, I think we all, everyone wants to be comfortable. That's certainly what...
Absolutely, yeah.
I started out on this. I used to be an actor, so I was 12 years of musical.
Really?
Yeah, I did 12 years of musical theatre.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so I did 12 years of musical theatre. So I did West End and
No
tours.
way.
Yeah, I did,
Lovely.
did some shows and
What kind
I
of stuff?
loved it. Well, I did Jesus Christ Superstar, Jerry Springer the Opera. Never Forget the Take That musical, Sound of Music.
That's interesting.
Which best job in the world when you're working.
Gosh, so but then you spend like 70% of your time out.
Out of work quite a bit, and auditions are horrific.
Yeah.
Everybody hates auditioning. No matter how much you've done it, it's just grim.
Put yourself out there, push everything from that's you, and use it to present something, and then have someone go,
That's it.
Oh.
That's if they do that. Most of the time, you'd walk in, there'd be 7 people behind a desk, and you'd probably get, hello, David, and what are you going to sing for us today? And you say, I'm going to do this Suicide from Les Miserables. And say, okay, David, you go with the pianist, and you say, I'd like it at this pace. Okay, go and stand in the middle, and then they'd literally do this. So you're singing away, you're giving it your all.
Yeah.
And they'd either be writing or they'd be just talking.
It's brutal.
And then they wouldn't actually advise you whether you'd got the job or not. It'd just be, thank you very much, David. Thanks. And you go, okay.
I'll go now.
And then you wait 3 weeks and your agent, have we heard anything at all? No, I'll give them a call. Then they go, well, we've not heard anything for 3 weeks, so probably not. So why couldn't someone just
say
me?
no, thank you? Yeah. Oh God.
It's so unfair. It really is unfair.
It's a brutal industry.
So
acting,
I stopped that in 2010.
Knock that in the head.
I just got to a point where I was like 41, and I just got to a point where it's like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. I loved it, but I also got to a point of looking and thinking, I don't want to be 60 or mid-50s still doing this, walking into auditions, because I wasn't ever intending to be famous, but you thought that there was a career progression.
There's a jobbing actor kind of position out there that you just kind of work, and it just kind of happens.
And that doesn't happen either.
No,
unfortunately, you think that your experience is a benefit. It's not. You're a cost. So they go, he'd probably want to have at least a couple of covers. No, we'll give it to the guy straight out of college. Yeah, it's much cheaper.
Yeah, that's terrible. Yeah.
So I left that, and that's when sort of got into the whole coffee. I did jewellery sales, and I did a lot of cover supervising as a teacher as well.
Oh right.
But then you get into this, and I admittedly started off just going, well, it seems like a great way I could make some money and earn enough from myself and my future and my partner, because that's the thing. Yeah. You suddenly go, I just want to make sure that we're comfortable. Yeah. But then once we really started looking into it, and you suddenly go, oh, there's that much waste. Oh, and this happens. You do then start to become, you go, no, actually, this is really important to do this.
Yeah, like I said, you peek behind the curtain and then you can't stop seeing it. You see it everywhere. You walk into a bathroom and you're like, well, that's in plastic, and that's in plastic, and that's in, and you can't stop,
absolutely everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing, it is absolutely everywhere. And there's not a lot you can buy that isn't.
No.
And it's, like I say, it's not really the fault of the consumer. You want to be able to buy stuff because you want a certain thing. You go, what's it in? Well, it's in that. Well, that's what they produce it in.
But yeah, it's kind of your choices are limited, I told my partner recently about plastic not being infinitely recyclable as well. He was like going on about recycling. I was like, yeah, Tom, but eventually it will end up in landfill, in some or in microplastics. Worse, microplastics in the ocean or whatever, in the seas, the waters. It's not infinitely recyclable. Most of it's a couple of times. 8 times is probably the max. And he was like, no way. And I'm like, well, yeah,
I mean, that's if that one piece of plastic ever makes it through
even
lots of
in the
recycling.
9% that gets actually recycled. So, for him, he started his journey a little later because he started his journey because I started mine.
Yeah.
And now he's like, oh my God, Kelly, did you hear about this? And I'm like, yeah, I know. It's terrible, isn't it? He's like, oh, we better stop buying tea bags. I'm like, yeah.
Loose lease it is.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
And then we're having, friends over, and then he's the one going, did you know? Kelly just told me plastics, you can't recycle, it's not infinitely recyclable. Then all our friends are like, no.
But you'd hit the nail right on the head there, and that's what it's about. It's about education. People aren't educated, and trying to educate people is hard work.
They don't want the information out there.
No, they
Who
do
wants
not.
people to know that? Nobody.
No.
In fact, they want to go out there and be like, oh, no, it's a load of... And that's not true.
Well, the old greenwashing, as it's known.
Absolutely.
And it goes on all over the place.
Absolutely.
Oh, no, because we can recycle all of our capsules if, we have the facility to do so. Okay, do you?
No.
No. How much do you think you do recycle? About 25%.
There we go then. That's the real number.
25%.
Now we're talking. That's 25% recycle,
I mean, I just don't get it. Well, I do get it because, again, it's economic.
Yeah.
Oh, you can. We'll give you a bag. Brilliant. Thanks very much.
Yeah, plastic bag.
Thanks. I'll put it in terms of your... Okay, it's a recyclable bag, but I'll have a bag of your capsules sat in my kitchen, smelling and wet until I can be bothered to take them either to a collection point. Apparently you can now phone up, they might come and collect it, but it used to be that they'll come and collect as long as you buy 200 more capsules.
Like a switcheroo kind of moment.
You give me these and I'll give you that.
It's a buy-in.
It's just a shame. It's just, I just wish to kind of do something a little better.
Yeah.
Because they can.
Absolutely, yeah.
In some respect. But hey, I mean, if they're not going to, that's fine. That's good for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
I suppose...
you guys have got it sewn up. Like for me, I think it's great. Don't worry about the capsule. That's all taken care of. Coffee's lovely. It's coming from somewhere good. I'm not worrying about someone being exploited on the journey there. Fantastic.
That
Suits
is
me.
the plan. And that's the thing. So
your branding's very cool as well.
Yeah, very lucky to have...
let's talk about that, because your branding's very cool.
Yeah, so the branding came from one of the co-founders, a chap called Nils Leonard, who he used to be chairman of and work at Grey London, so one of the big marketing agencies. Now opened his own agency called Uncommon London, and basically we very fortunately, he said, look, he came up with sort of 3 different names originally. I think one was Blanco, and I think the other one, obviously one was Halo. I can't for the life of me remember what the third one was. But then had sort of designed the packaging, and it's so simple and so super effective. And that's the thing. It's simple, it's super effective. And obviously you've got the black one for 3 of the products. The decaf is in white, which is it's actually my favourite. I prefer the white.
Very stylish.
I love the white one.
Very stylish.
And then what the beauty of the material of the box we've got, because the ink is obviously vegetable ink as well. Perfect. But we can print any colour on there. So we're looking at different colours for some of the new products that are going to come out. So that we will have a range of colours of boxes as well. But yeah, I mean, as a branding exercise, and that was the point. It was creating a product that was environmentally sound, but also a premium feel and premium look.
I think as well, I was watching one of your, because it's like when you start clicking about on stuff on the internet. So now I've been on your site a bunch. So now the internet knows I've been on your site a bunch. So now I'm on YouTube and it's like, hello, coffee. And it's showing me your advert to a video I'm about to watch. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Very, very cool. I love the attitude behind it. It's got a bit of a, what we like, the punk rock attitude. Yeah. It's a bit like no bullshit. It's no bullshit coffee. It's lovely. Yeah. This, get on with it. Good for the environment.
We don't say what we don't mean.
Tough. I liked it. It's like good. It's clear.
You can't be more. You've got to be honest about it. And as again, that was another part of the marketing that Niels had put together. And that the asterisk is, it's very true. And you see it on a number of things now. There's a Sky advert where they're talking about the asterisk. And the asterisk is very true, especially in the world of plastics and single-use plastics. Compostable capsules. It's compostable, yeah, asterisk. What does asterisk mean? It actually means you can't throw it in your garden because if you do, it'll just sit there. Yeah. It has to go into an industrial composter at 50 to 70 degrees for around about 2 months for it to disappear. So when companies say, oh, no, we do compostable capsules, you're not lying, but you're not telling the truth.
Yeah. It's the
customer sees compostable, they believe it's compostable. Yeah. Not the customer's fault.
Selling you on that, but it's wordplay.
Yeah.
It's a version of that word that isn't the meaning we hold true. It's an industrial advertising meaning.
It's not home compostable.
Yeah.
You can't just chuck it in your garden and it'll disappear.
Most people don't know the difference. Most people don't know that there are two different kinds of compostable. Things you can do yourself and things you can't.
The idea. the whole range of phrasing. So compostable, recyclable, biodegradable. All of these things. Now, biodegradable sounds great, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's biodegradable. Excellent. Pretty much everything is biodegradable.
Yeah.
It's just how long it takes.
Yeah. I found that with trying to find good packaging for shipping for the store. That's a tricky subject. And there's kind of biodegradable bags, and then when you look into it, it's like, oh, biodegradable in 150 years or less, or in the right conditions in the sunlight, and it's treated with some chemicals, and you're like, So technically it's biodegradable, but there's weird chemicals on it, and it's 150 years or 100 years or something obscene. I can't remember the exact numbers. I'm terrible at retaining things like that, but I kind of looked at it and went, that's obscene. That's not what I'm trying to buy.
No, exactly right. But the companies who are selling it to you, quite rightly, are trying to sell you, if it's, we are a environmentally friendly company. That's what we like to do. So we've got biodegradable products. Well, great, but you're not telling me what you really need to tell me. Is it compostable? Is it home compostable? What's the length of time? Which waste streams does it have to go into? Because I say, everything is, we get told, you chuck a apple core out, you get told, you get told you could be fined for that, even though that is 100% compostable. That it's a home compostable product. So if you throw that out, it will disappear.
It will rot and go.
If you throw something that is just biodegradable out, not guaranteed to disappear in any length of time at all.
Yeah, not in our lifetimes, perhaps.
No, but it technically is a biodegradable product. But that again is not. It's not the problem of the consumer. It's not their fault for not having the knowledge. It's down again to the producer to explain what it means.
Yeah.
So that you as a consumer are informed and can make an informed choice.
Absolutely. So I decided to do a bit of offsetting with my packaging and shipping and stuff in the early stages. I'm like, while I'm finding something that's right fit for us and our ethos, I'm gonna just make sure that we're giving to somebody, some charity or something that is making a difference somewhere else. So even if it's falling down here, we're picking it up here. There's that lovely group, was it 4 Oceans? And they're getting plastic fished out the sea.
Yeah.
And then making it into little wearable bracelets and stuff. And it's a bit of so you pay £20 for this little plastic, but it's all been fished out, and you've saved the ocean a pound of plastic. They've pulled a pound out. Yeah. For the £20 you've spent on your funny little bracelet that's made out of reclaimed plastic from the sea. But I was like, well, that's great. I mean, good, I'm in. So, finding little businesses doing stuff like that. And I sort of I'm quite careful with charities per se, because I think the model isn't great. that they're constantly relying on investment and they're not allowed to be sustainable in what they're doing on their own, that making some money is probably a good thing, to make the business work. It's a tricky one.
It's really tough. I mean, when you see it on, it's the street chuggers, as they're called. Is it chuggers?
God,
Yeah, I think
they get paid okay money for that. They're not.
That is a business, and that's a case of people being pressured into doing a charitable thing.
Yeah.
When someone is being paid using your charitable donation, they're using that to pay that person.
It's not
which
right.
just doesn't seem quite right to me.
No, and
charity is about giving something that all of it technically should all
should
go. Shouldn't be being paying on for your office or your chief executive.
Yeah.
Although there is the logic and understanding that it has to be run.
It has to be run. Yeah, it's a tricky subject, really. And, I get a bit disheartened when you give to a charity and you do like the one-off £20 donation. Maybe they've caught me on a day where I'm feeling this, I want to give. Mm-hmm. And then they send me 40 letters for the rest of my life. And I'm like, well, what was that money for?
Yeah.
What was it for? I don't want these letters.
Yeah, I'm paying for the postage.
I ticked the one-time donation box. I told, I've made it clear I'm not up for, but they figure you're a good bet, so they just keep on at you,
I mean, that was another thing that happened with, and one of the companies is, not companies, but one of the charities is Sue Ryder. And, that's generally about hospices, and it's usually emotional times, etc. And invariably people will probably donate because your loved one is either in there. And what then happens is that you're then receiving, as you say, regular letters of, and it's an update. What it's actually asking for is money.
Money.
Again, I
come back,
understand
more, give, and it's like
because they need to promote it and they need to pay for things. But you're kind of relying on a little bit on people's emotions.
Yeah, which is not cool.
Because you've had to use them. And perhaps I should, and that. I'm slightly uncomfortable with that myself.
Yeah, you should make money out of people's pain.
No,
that's not cool, man. That's not healing for the world. That sucks. That's a sucky way to do things.
Because people will, no doubt, if they wish to continue, or if they're in a position to be able to. That's the other thing.
Yeah, exactly. If you've got the money to carry on, maybe you will. But maybe
you can't continually keep saying, "Oh, and can you?" And we'd like, and it's, oh, come on,
Yeah. See, I think it's important and I've seen it coming about. I've seen a few businesses doing it where they're at the ground level building in their goodness into the business model. So there's a company that makes high-end headphones. Mm-hmm. For every pair of headphones you buy, they create a hearing aid for a disadvantaged child.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? So they're not saying, give us money and we'll make these hearing aids for these disadvantaged children. They're saying, well, for every fancy person who's got enough money to buy a high-end pair of headphones, we're going to do some good with that. Yeah. And there was another company that's doing it with shoes. They're giving they're like a women's shoe brand. You buy a pair of their shoes, and they're giving a pair of shoes to like women's shelters or something like that. That they're kind of finding a place to kind of. But when you build it into your business strategy model, you're not relying on constant giveaway. You're changing the world within a kind of sustainable fashion.
Yeah, and I think that's the way to do it. It's like doing a foundation or something similar like that, whereby what you're doing, nothing's hidden. So nothing's hidden from the consumer. So if they're buying a product, you've already said up front that X amount of this will go to this, because this is what we want to do. We want to channel some of this money, technically some profit into a good cause of whichever one it happens to be. And I think as long as you're honest and upfront with your consumer, that is what is happening, that you're not kind of doing it, or you haven't told them about it, and then going, oh, look how great we are, look at what we've done. You're saying, this is really some of your money goes into this. Now, that allows them to go, well, one, I want to buy the product because I like the product, but two, actually, I don't mind the idea that I'm paying 10 pence of whatever I've paid for that will go to whichever charity or whichever project it is, because you're at least giving them the option.
And I think corporate responsibility should be connected. I think that's connected corporate responsibility, that you're kind of, not annually going, oh, let's do something charitable because it looks good and people like that we do it. that sucks. But being like, we make these high-end headphones, and there's kids out there that need hearing aids, and that means something to us because we're the audiophiles, and we're into this, you know, and this is what we do, and we've got the capability and the know-how to improve these people's lives with a little bit of our know-how, you know. And I think that connectedness is makes it more genuine. It feels good. I like the story behind it, so I'm interested to see that catch on as an idea, more companies doing that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think companies would love to be able to do it. Again, it all depends on how it fits in with your business model.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's the other thing. It's, you know, it's making your business profitable first in real terms before you can actually do something charitable, because you can't be charitable if your business is fake.
See, now I'm kind of looking at like this is the other way on for you know, if you look at it like a business, yes. If you look at it like it was going to be a charity, but they've put the business onto it, that pays the marketing people and the CEOs and everything, that there's actually a business that pays for them. It's not the charity that pays for them. It's not, you know, your donation, the bit of good you want to do goes to where it should be going, because the profit bit pays for these people. So I think that's kind of cool, you know.
Yeah,
cool,
I'd agree.
Cool
I'd
way
agree.
around. Yeah, there's a lot of scope for change, isn't
There
there?
is a lot of scope for change, and there's a lot of time for it in terms of, you know, there's a lot of time available. There's not a huge amount of time in terms of the amount of single-use plastics that are, you know, constantly being made. But I think that change is coming.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe it's coming. It will take time, and it will take some legislation, but I think it'll take probably somewhere like Sweden, Norway, Denmark. Someone will do, and it'll be a Nordic company. They'll go, you know what, we're banning
Pulling
this.
the plug on it. Yeah.
I mean, we have, you know, the Balearic Islands. I think it's Mallorca, is actually going to be banning single-use plastic capsules by 2020.
Fantastic.
So, and that's what it just takes. It just takes somebody having the guts to say enough. You know, you guys, that's what you've been milking this for so long, but we're just going to cut it off. No more.
Yeah, we should give props to Morrison's on their plastic-free fruit and veg efforts.
Absolutely.
Good start.
Same with Waitrose doing their now, you know, go in with your Tupperware box and fill it up that way.
Props to that, you know, and also our government banning single-use straws, stirrers, and cotton buds of the plastic nature.
See, it's increment, slow change, and you know what they're doing? It's testing the water.
Of course, yeah, and also it's like you know, makes them popular or whatever. Maybe they're making a decision because they're hearing eco chatter and they want to curry favour with young voters or whatever. I don't mind, as long as it happens. you know,
more than happy as long as it happens.
Someone said to me the other day when I was talking about this that it was 0.25% of plastic is like straws and stuff, and it's why bother? It's not why bother, but it's such a small amount, blah blah blah. And I was like, oh come on, you know, it doesn't really matter, because you know, once the government make an action like that, this is going to help some people peel back the curtain and think, well, all right, so if straws have been banned, what about my shampoo bottle? You know, it just kind of keeping it in the public consciousness.
I think the interesting thing about it as well, it's actually a signal to the producers.
Yeah,
it's a little, you know, little flag's gone up and gone. We've got our eyes on it. You need to start thinking about it.
We see you.
Because if we've done plastic straws, we've done this, we've done that. You're likely to be next.
Coffee pods, you're next.
It won't be bottles.
No,
it won't be that, because that's too big.
It's too much.
It'll be something that they can go, this will play really well.
Yeah.
And it's doable.
Yeah, because you got to get the result. Because if you go for bottles and that's your first challenge and you fail, or it causes chaos, then you'll never do straws, you'll never do stirrers, you'll never do anything smaller, you know, or anything else. It will just end the conversation. We tried that and it was terrible, and everybody went mad and they asked for their beautiful plastic bottles back, and now we have to give it, and we'll never rock the boat again, amen. You know, but it's got to be achievable.
Yeah, small, incremental steps.
And people will keep talking and thinking, and then eventually we start rejecting the bottles, and the bottle companies start saying, "Oh, we've brought out this alternative," and somebody's investing in R&D because it's coming. You know, and that's how the change snowballs.
I think it's going on anyway. You know, within the companies, they are looking at it. It can't happen overnight, and you didn't expect it to. But you just want to see that there is a shift.
Yeah.
A gradual shift. And, you know, whether they're looking at little companies like ours who are saying, they've gone, well, these guys have done it, and we know what the technology is, we know how to, so let's go and have a chat with them. And the same with people maybe doing bottles or this or that. Because there are people out there who are looking to make these changes as tiny companies, And that's kind of what the big companies want. They want somebody with an entrepreneurial mindset to have done most of the hard work, so they don't have to do it.
Yeah. Waitrose have seen all the little harmless stores popping up in every little town centre where you can go and refill, and gone, that looks like it's working for them.
And that is exactly it.
Yeah.
It's cost them nothing. They've seen other people do it and they go, oh, they're starting to get a bit of traction. Now what we need to do is we'll take it on, and what we do is we then have the muscle and the scope and the distribution
really make it.
to make it happen. And that's fine.
And all they're doing really is keeping their business. They're like, oh, we can't be losing our cereal sales to the harmless store because you can go and fill up your cereal jar of porridge.
But I suppose it's that thought process of saying, well, they may swallow up this tiny company, but as long as they swallow it up for the right price, as it were, for that person, and then that has made them as a company look to make that change that person was looking to start anyway. So it's win-win all the way around.
Yeah, I mean, the idea is that we have a healthier, happier environment. That's the goal, Yeah. I mean, we can start talking about independents versus giants business-wise. I mean, that's a story as old as time, isn't it? I mean, it's a whole own thing. But I think for this conversation, it's good on them. We want less waste.
If you want it to become a global thing, only global companies will be able to do it. Now, if they're happy to, if they're willing to see what other people do first and then go, we will then adopt that by taking this on board. Well, then you go, well, that's actually what we set out to do in the first place. Obviously, if it's your company, that's what hopefully you're going to get taken over, and there'll be a benefit to you whilst they then make the change as a global company. But you want to see that global change, and hopefully they will take it on and go, actually we can see that works. We should do it because that's what the world wants. So from our point of view, as us sitting in, we want to see single-use plastic stop, and that happens. Perfect.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like you've got the power for some change, and you've got to exercise that power. Now, if that's me, I don't buy stuff in plastic in the supermarket. That's my power. That's what I've got for change. I mean, aside from, what we're doing at Punk Rock Health, that's my power for change. That's what I'm trying to do. And if you're Waitrose, that's your power for change. Yeah. So flex that and take the power and, Yeah.
I mean, I can't do everything, but I know I can sleep pretty well at night knowing that I've done something.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I was delighted to find you, out there, because I found the problem and looked for the solution and was bowled over, because I think, it's like, there's somebody actually doing it. This is amazing, because I was expecting to have to give up my easy morning coffee.
Well, hopefully we've resolved that for you.
I'm an absolute lizard without a good coffee in the morning. You ask my partner, I'm an absolute ogre brain. Yeah, he sort of makes me a coffee every morning for a quiet life, I think, He says, I do it because I love you, and I show that I love you. And it's like, and also I'm not a crazy person in your house.
You know how to keep me quiet, don't you? That's what this is all about.
It's coffee in the morning and wine when I get home. How to keep Kelly quiet. Otherwise I come in and be like, did you hear about this plastic? Becoming one of those eco assholes,
Yeah, it's tough. How far do you go?
Yeah, I did it at college the other day. Everybody came in with their coffees from the canteen downstairs, and they all had these brightly coloured cups. And I was like, oh, they look really good, because I saw all the different colours. I was like, you all look great with your coloured cups. I'm like, shame it's just ruining the planet a bit.
Yeah, what are you going to do with those?
What are you gonna...
Which bin you putting them in?
Yeah, and everybody saw that I had my reusable, and they're like, oh. And I'm like, oh, I'm an eco asshole. But yeah, good.
Yeah.
Maybe if one of them brings in a cup next week.
Do it for the planet, not for you. Do it for the planet.
I think that about ties us up.
Fabulous.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you very much.
Let's have another coffee.
Might as well at least have that.
Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.